Don't wait to buy these items. Crucial preps everyone needs that may become harder to get in the near future. Hey guys, it's Jera with Wicked Prepared. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm diving into 4 areas of preps and preparedness that should be on your radar right now. Some of these are just timely reminders of gear and supplies that we need to have in place before fall and winter arrive. And others are things that are at risk of shortages or price hikes in the near future that you're going to want to secure now. Get ready to take inventory of what you have and what you need as we work through this list of what products we need to make sure we have in our house and our prepper pantries this month and why. Let's dive in. The first category is paper goods. Here I'm talking about things like toilet paper, paper towels, paper plates and bowls, even things like feminine hygiene products. If you remember the 2020 run on toilet paper, listen up. Multiple signals are flashing red for new pressures on paper goods heading into September. Here's what's driving it and which items to grab sooner rather than later. Our supply of these items is still being threatened by tariffs levied against wood pulp from places like Brazil and Canada. Soft tissue products, that's things like toilet paper, paper towels, napkins, facial tissue, things like that are going to be most heavily affected because they rely on a specific type of pulp for their softness. So manufacturers can't easily pivot to new sources of raw materials when the usual options become scarce or expensive to source. We all know how important toilet paper is and why it's always a good idea to keep a stockpile in your home that you build up regularly over time. No panic buying. That doesn't help anyone. Even things like paper towels and paper plates, they may not seem like necessities. And even if they're not things that you use on a regular everyday basis, if you're stuck in a power outage for several days or even several weeks without electricity and hot running water, they end up being essential sanity savers. Things that won't be as readily affected are going to be things like diapers, feminine products, and those paper plates and bowls. They're not as strongly dependent on that particular type of pulp, but there have been other shakeups in the industry all over, factory closures, things like that. So even if supply doesn't tank, prices could definitely be affected. These items don't go bad, so it's a good idea to take inventory of what you have, look for some good deals, and bulk up your supply if you think it's necessary. Next on my list is something a little different. This time of year, it's really important to double check your basic safety and home preparedness and early warning tools. Don't get me wrong, this is stuff that is crucial to have really all the time. It doesn't really have a season, but we are just kicking off hurricane season for many of us, and we're getting ready to head into fall and winter, which any number of weather-related threats could hit us at any moment. So things like ice storms, flash floods, tornadoes, and other threats, depending on where we live, can easily knock out power and infrastructure as well, sometimes for extended periods of time. We've seen this over and over just in the last year, and our weather patterns are only getting stronger and less predictable. A lot of these tools here are about early warning, quick action, and getting out of danger or snuffing out a threat before it's too late. So first, here I have a NOAA weather alert radio. This kind right here is one that stays plugged into the wall at all times, and it has a built-in battery backup. So if the power goes out, it is still functional. And most importantly, this is not dependent on a cell signal. If you rely on your cell phone for alerts and the cell towers are down or things just don't go through reliably, as things tend to do, your warning system is useless. This is going to work even when cell signal is down. And it plays a very, very loud alert when there's a storm warning or anything like that. Trust me, it's very loud. You're not going to miss it during the day, and it's definitely going to wake you up at night. This one has a feature called SAME, S-A-M-E. It stands for Specific Area Message Encoding. And what this means is you can set this up to only alert you to things that affect your county or any other counties that you set. Like if you live near a county line, so you want to hear from both. Maybe you have loved ones who live in a different area and you want to know what's going on for them, for instance. You also have a lot of control over what kind of alerts that you hear. There's a few that you cannot turn off, the big ones, tornado warnings, flash flood warnings, things like that. But most of the alerts are user selectable, so you can control what you want to be alerted to. I think this is a hugely critical piece of preparedness equipment because advanced warning is so critical. Depending on what is coming your way, being able to prepare to take shelter, maybe move to higher ground or evacuate, depending on the situation. It can make all the difference. This is an advanced warning device. A few others that I have here are a little bit more familiar, and all of us should have them in our homes. Smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. Make sure you have these and they're up to date and in working order, and think about getting fresh batteries for them. Many people do this in October, so now might be a good time to take stock of your battery stash. See if you need to replenish or add any sizes, get rid of any that are old or expired or damaged, like they've gotten corroded or anything like that. Make sure that you're going to have all the batteries that you need for the upcoming fall and winter, especially if you face power outages. There are a lot of things affecting or threatening the supply and price of things like electronics and rechargeables right now. Everything from tariffs to pressure on the lithium, metals, chips, semiconductors, all of those industries, they make the prices and supplies in this area very precarious right now. And even in the best of circumstances, things like batteries and radios, they disappear off the shelves when storms threaten or hit right away. So double check, refresh, and bulk up on these things now before you need them. Make sure you have plenty of batteries, both disposable and rechargeable, battery packs that can be used to keep your phones and other small electronics functioning, and even a small power station if you can swing it. Early warning tools like smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, even gas leak detectors are always important to have functioning in your home, but they become even more important during emergencies when many people turn to using alternative sources for cooking and for keeping warm when the power's out. In fact, I keep extras of these items, either battery operated or with a battery backup, in our first grab emergency kits. The things that we grab as soon as the power goes out or an emergency hits. It's also very important to have tools to act quickly if something like a fire should happen in your home, especially in an emergency when first responders might not be reachable, they might be overwhelmed and unable to respond in a timely fashion. Candles, emergency heaters, cooking appliances, all of these things can be a big fire hazard, and a fire in your home can quickly make a situation go from bad to worse. Being able to act quickly is imperative, so having tools at the ready is a must. Fire extinguishers and even better, fire blankets anywhere that you might need to quickly extinguish a fire. Your kitchen, next to your grill, your vehicle, your camp or RV. There's so many places to keep these tools, and make sure they're easily accessible and ready to grab quickly, not buried in a drawer or a cabinet. Fire blankets are something I learned about more recently, and they really opened my eyes to some things. We have always had fire extinguishers, but the thing with fire extinguishers is they need to be inspected, they need to be refilled sometimes or replaced because they can become depressurized over time. If that happens, then when you need it, it's just not going to work. Also, a lot of things like grease fires, for instance, which is something that would happen very typically in a kitchen. A fire extinguisher, even if it does work, it can sometimes just spread that fire around, not actually put it out. And then even if it does work, a fire extinguisher leaves a huge mess of chemicals that you've sprayed all over your home that you then need to clean up afterwards. And it's also not really good to breathe those chemicals in when you're using that fire extinguisher. So there's so many reasons why a fire blanket can actually be a better choice in a lot of situations than a fire extinguisher. You just grab the straps, you pull it to deploy it, and then you quickly cover the fire and it smothers it right out. There's no extra mess to clean up. There's no chance that it's not going to work, not have the pressure. It can often be reused if the blanket itself doesn't get damaged, whereas a fire extinguisher is a one-time use. And of course, it's a lot lighter and flatter and smaller and less bulky. It's easier to carry around, it's easier to use, it's easier to store. So while I would never discourage anyone from having a fire extinguisher, they're definitely good to have. There's definitely going to be situations where they might be more appropriate to use. I just want people to be aware that they do have limitations and drawbacks, to know that you need to check your fire extinguishers, make sure that they're in good working order, make sure they're still pressurized, replace them if necessary. Be sure that you know how to use them if you need to, because when you're panicked, it's no time to figure out something new. And I also urge everyone to consider adding fire blankets to your gear if you don't have them already. I'm going to have a link down below that can get you a really good deal on some really good fire blankets. The only way to get the deal is through the link. So I know that some people don't like to leave the video to follow a link. So I'm going to put a QR code up on the screen for you, one side or the other, or you can text me. I'll put my number on the screen. Just text blanket and I will send you the link through text so you can keep watching because there's more coming up. The next item on my list is beef. If beef is part of your pantry plan, this is your heads up. Prices are already at or near record highs, and the drivers behind that are not going to fix themselves by winter. Here's what's going on and what I'm doing about it before September. The beef supply is under pressure and prices are at an all-time high, largely because of the shrinking national cattle herd, which is at the lowest point in decades. Even as ranchers are rebuilding their herds after drought and other factors, that doesn't happen overnight. It takes several years to get a cow ready to slaughter. This decline is expected to continue through 2026. At the same time, import restrictions and higher tariffs on beef from places like Brazil are not helping the supply here in the US. Demand is still strong, and combined, these factors are going to lead to tightened supply and higher prices, especially as we head into the peak Labor Day grilling season and then the holiday season soon after that. Take a look at your family's beef consumption and plan ahead to fill both your freezer based on your family's 6 to 12 week consumption and your extended pantry with shelf-stable, canned, and freeze-dried options. This serves many purposes. Number one, it reduces your dependency on your freezer and the power grid, as well as serving as an investment for the future. Shelf-stable beef can last far longer than frozen beef without any loss of quality, allowing you to lock in today's prices and set your family up to have food regardless of what future situations we face. What we're doing for our family is focusing on US-grown beef sources that we can trust to stock our freezer and our pantry. If you're fortunate enough to be able to raise your own meat, that is fantastic. If not, finding a local farmer you can trust to produce good beef can be the next best option. For those who don't have those options available, or maybe just don't have the space or the money all at once to invest in a whole or half cow, there are other ways that are better than the grocery store or big box stores. For about 2 years now, we've been getting our beef from an amazing company that delivers it right to our door. It's a completely vertically integrated beef producer, so we know the path of the beef from start to finish. They own the herd, they own the ranch, they own the processing plant, and the quality is controlled from the pasture to the freezer. The beef arrives at my doorstep frozen, and it is the best beef we've ever had. The quality is outstanding. It arrives, and I can either add it to our freezer, or if I want it shelf stable, I can can it or freeze dry it. I'll put some info down below for anyone who wants to try this amazing beef. And I also have an insider tip on how you can save about $50 a month on a subscription. So definitely ask me about that. As far as shelf-stable beef is concerned, I have videos on both canning and freeze drying meat. If that's not something that you're comfortable doing yourself, or you simply don't have the time or the equipment, which many of us don't, these are some other sources that we use for US raised beef that is shelf stable. We get this canned beef from Keystone. These guys are in Ohio, and they get their beef from an area right around their facility, like 30 to 40 mile radius of where they process it. And this is really good, tasty canned beef. It's very good quality. It's just as good as when I can it myself. It's like a tender, succulent, shredding pot roast. It's great in recipes. They also have ground beef in a can. As canned ground beef goes, theirs is very, very good. If you want something like steak, though, you're going to have to go with freeze-dried. Freeze-dried is going to last even longer than canned, and you can even get freeze-dried raw beef. So you can add the moisture back in and then cook it how you like it. So you could have steak that's grilled over the coals, or short ribs that are braised in wine, whatever your heart desires. There's also cooked beef that's freeze-dried, things like ground beef, beef strips, shredded beef. This is going to give you a lot more texture options than with canned, but they're both good to have on the shelf, both good to store. We store both of these in our prepper pantry. This freeze-dried beef is also all US raised beef as well. I do have an exclusive coupon code for my viewers for the freeze-dried. You can use code WICKEDPREPARED to save 15% if you want to try it out. Just go to tryfreezedried.com or check out the link down below and get your beef sources secured now on all fronts. The final area I urge everyone to think about this month is your home preps for cold weather and winter power outages. I talked a little bit about this earlier, but first of all, make sure that you have some kind of backup emergency heat for your home. It doesn't have to be big or expensive. You can section off a small area to heat, but just like generators after a hurricane, propane and kerosene heaters will disappear in a flash if you wait until a winter power outage is looming or has already happened. You can get a better price and selection by shopping early and shopping around. So if this is something that you don't have in place, now is a good time to think about it. If you do have an emergency heater that you have all set, now's a good time to give it a once over, test it out, give it a test run, make sure it's in good working order, and also make sure that you have any accessories, things like adapter hoses, anything else that you might need for it, and that those are also in good working order. And of course, make sure you have plenty of appropriate fuel on hand. Along the same lines, make sure you have some kind of emergency stove to use for cooking and heating water if the power goes out this winter. Especially in colder weather, having the ability to have a warm meal, a warm drink, and warm water for washing up is going to make a world of difference in your morale. There are many different options for emergency cooking, and some are very inexpensive. I've demonstrated many of these over the years in videos, and I'll have a video coming out soon where I'm going to show several different options side by side. One last thing to think about now is gathering your winterizing and weatherproofing supplies before the stores get low in stock. Things like weather stripping, pipe insulation, window insulation kits. All of these things should be in stock and easy to find right now. Get them on hand and plan to install them before the weather turns too cold. Not only is it going to save you some money over the course of the winter, but it's also going to help keep that cold out if you are faced with a power outage this winter. Remember the prepper mindset. It's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Most of the items that I talked about today have a long or indefinite shelf life. So if you don't need it soon, you are inevitably going to need it down the road. So it's always good to know that you're covered when disaster strikes. I hope this list has been helpful, and if so, make sure to share it with someone else that you think could use it. The more people we prepare, the better off we all will be. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me a toilet paper emoji down in the comments. And check out this video next for some more prepping tips that you need right now. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.